So welcome to another of our Viva Connection sessions. These are very brief sessions to introduce you to our Viva 2019 speakers. And what we've been doing is we've been asking them to answer some commonly asked questions. And today we've got one that's, I think, a very practical way of looking at the three principles. So got Liliana sitting in the wings, as you can see. I'm going to hand the mic over to Sue, like I always do, to do the official intro.
Well, hello Liliana, Bellini. It's just delightful to be able to chat with you. It's been ages since we've spoken. Lots of people will know you, but I'm going to just give a little brief intro. And I know that for many years you have been involved in the work complementary medicine and have lots of qualifications to support that. You've moved into teaching and sharing the principles, I'd imagine quite naturally as a transition. And you teach and share in a number of ways, privately, groups, you have your own seminars, but you were talking about the passion you have for working with what we might say are marginalised people, where there are quite hardened attitudes. So you're looking, and our question today is addressing your work in one of those areas, which is the work you do in prisons. But what we know is that the question applies to, you could substitute prison for a number of other areas. And that's been nearly 4 years that you've been working within the criminal justice system, which is no mean feat. And it's interesting because we talked before about, gosh, that's heavy, hard work, but actually it's approached from this point. It doesn't feel that, because the heavy lifting's done for you, and we'll be interested to hear all about that. So the question we have for you, Liliana, is how do we introduce the topic of love as being the solution in challenging situations such as within prisons, homelessness, drug addiction, child abuse, etc.?
Well, thank you, Sheila, and thank you, Sue. It's such a pleasure to be here. And also, it's an absolute delight to have been invited to be at Viva as a speaker. I was at Viva 2 years ago and absolutely loved it. And so I'm really looking forward to being in that feeling again with you all. So thank you. And thank you for the introduction. And the question is a very interesting question. It's a really good question. Because, love is such it's a loaded word, isn't it? Loaded with many meanings and it's a word that we don't even use. Sometimes we are reluctant to use. We use it many ways, and we have our own understanding of it. We are reluctant to use it because it has so many meanings. And yet, it is, I can't think of a better word, really, or for lack of a better word. That's what I often end up kind of using anywhere. So I don't hold back. I actually... I'm not prepared to even compromise. I will use whatever word occurs to me in the moment, but love is one of those that, kind of sums up the space and the feeling that I find myself in with other people during the groups that I run, both in prison and now more recently with the community, with the homeless population affected by homelessness, or young people on the edge of crime. So it is, and how is love the solution? And it's funny because I'm not holding back, and therefore we can easily perceive the cliche or see the cliche in this, but there's nothing that even resembles a cliche in what happens when we get to look beyond the stigmas and the labels and the ideas that we have about ourselves and others, or what's possible. And possible for everyone with no exception. So we tend to, society, or we tend to think that create exceptions or come up with exceptions, and yet the work I'm doing keeps proving the opposite. and that has to be shared, you know, the fact that they're at that level, fundamental level, we have been equipped and gifted with the ability to experience love and to share love and to feel and connected with everyone, and that whatever label we are carrying, beyond the behavior that we have entertained, we can never be beyond help, really. And I have the absolute pleasure and privilege to see that over and over again. So it's a space that, you know, despite the context or the place or the sentence or the label, it's a place where love is a place where miracles happen, true transformations happen, and I could be on this call sharing what I've seen for hours, because those miracles or those awakenings happen when we get to have a glimpse of what's beyond what we believe to be possible about human beings, or we believe to be true. So talking about love is never on my checklist, you know, when before a program. I don't think I'm going to talk about love, you know. I never set off thinking that, but there's a natural movement as we get quiet, as we get out of our conceptual mind. There's a natural movement towards this very deep place, and it's kind of, it has a ripple within the group first, and then it has a ripple within their lives and my life. So every time I see it, it's almost as if I get to wake up again and again to the truth of it. And every time a man in prison serving a sentence sees it, he has the ability, the opportunity to wake up and maybe still serving the sentence, but it's not serving the other sentence of you know, what seems to be inevitable suffering, and the inevitable kind of belief that because, you know, things have been a certain way for 10 years, 20 years, a lifetime, they have to continue being like that. So that they wake up to new possibilities of living life from that place, that space that we get to share. So it's I can't think of anything more valuable for anyone, and people with a big, you know, label are no exception. And I remember, I mean, I remember running a group, and there was someone sitting in a lady came in to sit in our group, and as the conversation kept going a bit deeper and we kept going a bit quieter, and I remember I was talking about mind, and I never fail to be moved when I connect to a deeper understanding of mind. Even when I talk about thought, I get moved when I feel I really get to sense and experience the power of it through the words that come out of me. So I was getting quite moved, and I knew I was getting close to actually putting the word love, to what I was talking about. And afterwards she said, as you were getting close to naming it, I was thinking, no, don't go there. She said, no, don't say that word. This is not the right place. They're not wanting, you will lose them because of the connotations, because of the meanings that we attach to it. But as I said before, I don't hold back, because if it comes from that place, they will hear it. And I've never had a group that didn't appreciate that. So I just name it, and this is, and I'm calling it love. And then I went into the love that, you know, we all have it within. We all have it. We never fail with the team I work with. We never fail to fall in love. We actually fall in that space. So it's a falling in love with what comes in that space, but also with each one of them, we see them as complete and whole and not damaged. So when we don't condone the behavior, we don't, and they're serving a sentence because of the behavior. But what is beyond that, what lays beneath that, is so much more compelling. So if you have 2.5 days intensive with these guys, you want to go there, because that's where real transformation happens. That's where miracles happen. So we have developed this sensitivity to feel the direction, and to feel where to go, and to feel in the moment. And whenever content comes up, it's there somewhere, but the pull towards the deeper feeling, the pull towards love, is so much more strong. And so we kind of do our best to follow that and to bring them with us. And that's how we see things. That's, you know, we have many stories, extraordinary stories of change and transformation. And some of the guys we've worked with are out now, and they're great teachers. So, and we don't really have very much on it either, because when you're present in that space, there's everything you will ever need, and they'll ever need. And that's where they can see what they need to see to change. And we don't know what that is, but they get to see that. So, and then I get to come home, and I walk through the door, and I find my family here. And the personal love I had for my family, or I do still have for them, because it's quite personal, they're my family, and it's the same. It's not even that personal anymore. And I'm so moved and touched by that as well, because I go from that room with maybe 15 inmates, and then I experience such depth and such beautiful, expansive feeling of connection and understanding and love, And then I come home and I walk through the door and there it is again. And it's the same. There is no difference. And I've always, in my journey of kind of understanding and experiencing love, it started off feeling so personal, so like kind of tight. And in a way limited. I didn't know, but and that's when you are scared to lose it, or you become jealous of your partner, or you become possessive with your children, and you want to always interfere, because it's that kind of more personal love. But my work is really teaching me that, really gifting me with the experience of a more expansive, universal, constant experience of love, which then I take with me. and then the barriers that are often there, like if I'm on the street, or when I ran programs with the homeless for an organization called Slice of Happiness. So it's still the same. All the kids, we worked with the kids, Jackie Moses and myself last year, and he was called Machete because he didn't go anywhere without a machete outside in the world. And this big guy, 16 years or 15 years old, came in with this kind of mask, yeah, and after a couple of weeks, it started to soften and to drop. And then I spoke about love. I said that word again with a teenager who is on the street with machete. And he was so touched. He saw so much about his true nature that is kind of beneath the mask and beneath the whatever is, kind of putting up, persona is putting up. So it's universal then. I get to see it, experience it, and talk about it. Guess what? I do talk about it. And if I'm at dinner parties with, whoever, I don't, because it's about time we talk about a different kind of love. That it's not so personal, and it kind of is underlying everyone's experience. It's who we truly are, really. And so and I've seen so much lately. That's why when you ask me about a topic, I thought, yes. I was watching one of the guys on a Facebook Live, and this is a guy that we've had on our courses. He's a great teacher. He qualified in prison. Amazing teacher, very insightful and deep. And so he's out, and he was on a Facebook Live, and I was watching him, and I kept sending him love, when the hearts bubble up, and love messages. And then afterwards, I got into my head, I thought, oh, is that appropriate? And I got into my head about it. And then I had a chat with him, and he was so matter of fact, because this is pure love. There's nothing funny about this. It's like a deep appreciation of how, oh, you disappeared. Oh, here, yeah, that's it. A deep appreciation of how he shows up as a human being, but what's beyond that as well. Deep appreciation of his true amazing nature, this force that comes through him that is so pure. So of course I wasn't holding back. I was supporting him with as much love hearts as possible on the Facebook Live. And then I got into my head. And that's what we all do. We want to love like that, but then we back up and we think, oh, it's not quite right. It's not appropriate. So I had a chat with him, and he said, oh my God, you've got a lot of thinking about this. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I thought, I don't care if it was a client or if it was someone I worked with. You see, this is different. With all the work I've done, it was always a matter of, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And guess what? Love is always appropriate. There can never be anything inappropriate about love when it's so pure. How can there be? So that is what I saw recently. And I was happy to see that, because again, I more fell away of the thinking that I had about what love is. And then I found myself in a more, even a more pure understanding of it, and there was humor, because I said, yeah, I know, my husband knows that this is pure, I don't even have to, my husband knows, my children know that it's okay. I'm going to still send you love on Facebook Live. And then I thought, no, it's, when it comes from that place, then it's a gift that is the gift that we are the gift then, and then we share who we truly are through that. So and so love is who we truly are, but love is also the understanding love like this is the a byproduct of also understanding what the more superficial, conceptual, all the noise and the ideas and the, what they are, what they truly are, and what they're not. So it's almost like the love, understanding love and experiencing love like this is the gift that comes from that understanding, and vice versa almost. It's like, so we talk about thoughts, we talk about, the illusory nature of it all. And then when we see that, we can kind of gently fall into love without, naturally letting go of ourselves into that, into that space of connection. And because we know that that's true, and the other bit is kind of made up. So
well, Lily, I'm sure that Sheila and I could listen for a lot longer, but we said we'd keep it brief. We know you've got another call as well, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Lily. It was beautiful. I'm keeping that love is never inappropriate. That was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Can't wait to see you at Viva.
I'm ready to dance with you girls and party.
Yeah, definitely. Dancing shoes.
and swim and
you can swim. I'll stay dancing.
I really truly make the most of it, don't I?
You do. Well, just great as good, you enjoy your work and you are a gift.
Yeah.
And
you too. You too. Beautiful.
So we'll look forward to hearing some of your stories.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Love you.